Sword of Justice is not the MMORPG that you think it is. Y'all know I have an extensive history in MMOs. I played almost every single one of them. We might not always agree on the kinds of games that we like, but what we all can agree on is that we want a high quality MMO experience. And in a lot of cases, mobile MMOs just do not provide us that. So when I was flown out to Tokyo Game Show 2025 to participate in a showcase for Sword of Justice, I'm going to be completely genuine and honest here. I didn't have the highest expectations. I was excited, but I wanted to temper those expectations. Not because I thought it was necessarily going to be a bad game. On the contrary, I thought it was going to be very fun and relatively good. But you always have to go in with the expectation that things aren't going to be what you expect. I got to see their incredible booth. I got to see the incredible performances that the cosplayers did. And the entire thing was just genuinely very high quality. The game I got to play was fun. And then I came back to America and there was a beta that was being held. I was reached out to do a sponsored stream and then sponsored video for it, which, by the way, if you're at all interested in playing the game, you can go down, pre-register for the global launch right now. But I asked them, could I just tackle this entire thing unscripted? No talking points, just being 100% genuine and honest with all of you. Would that be okay? Because I want all of you to trust what I'm saying, and I want all of you to understand where I'm coming from and to understand the kind of game this is. I don't want this to be me trying to sell you a game. I don't want them trying to sell you a game. I just want to sit here and tell you what I think works, how this has gone beyond what I expected, and why it is so much more than what you probably believe it is. I'm going to do this by talking about three different aspects. First, the story. This game is dark, but at the same time really lively and happy. It's messed up, but also wholesome, and the entire experience just left me completely shocked. Not shocked as in, oh my god, this is terrible. Rather, shocked as in, I didn't know a cross-platform MMO or an MMO really could have a story that is so complex. Now, there are a couple MMOs out there that do really have very good stories, but I'd say 9 out of 10 of them are kind of slop. And this is not. There are some points where, you know, you're a little bit... That isn't to say the story is perfect, it's far from, but there are so many impactful moments. There are points in the story that are actually compelling and engaging. There was this one point towards the end of the content that is available in the beta right now that was just like the narrative presentation and style, the perspective with which it was told from was immaculate. I mean, I would love to say that I'm over exaggerating here, but there are key moments in the story that really just hit that emotional peak. And part of that is because they touch on some touchy subjects. Like that's the easiest way of phrasing it. There are moments where you see this girl that's being sold to a noble, and you have the option of trying to do something to save her or letting her be sold, and she actually does end up, you know, sold. It's crazy. This is really not something that's touched on in the genre, because I mean, like, let's be real, it's kind of a touchy subject. You know, these are themes and topics you don't really want to elaborate on. And then there's this other part of the story where, you know, there's a little girl, and I'm not going to delve too far into it, but it's very sad and very emotional. And then there are other points, like when there's like a new really handsome looking guy that comes in, does some really cool thing, and then just kind of like, you know, auras his way out, just like sailing on a boat or wheeling his little wheelchair or something in a really epic way. So there are some very deep, emotionally moving parts of the game, but then there are also some very fun, lighthearted areas too. But this game doesn't have a lack of a story or a convoluted story by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually quite cohesive. And this is actually aided by the AI NPCs, which is aspect 2 I want to talk about. The AI NPCs actually have helped the world feel so alive, to feel so large, and I think it is aided in the crafting of a world that is different for every player. So let's, as an example, at the beginning, you're given the opportunity of trying to save the girl being sold into slavery or letting her go. There are moments where you can help NPCs around the town, you know, catch fish or let them starve. You can help them with their dress ideas, or you can just have them look like your average peasant villager. You can channel your inner Saitama and do, you know, 100 squats to win the cabbage contest. Like, there's so many very interesting stories that have been told that evolve for each individual differently. And I think this has crafted a world that is so personal that everyone will experience it differently in a different way. New NPCs will appear, NPCs will enter relationships with other NPCs. I mean, hell, Mrs. STIX entered a relationship with some dude who then ran off with another NPC after she didn't log in for a day. Like, and now he is in a relationship with her. Dude, the potential, the narrative potential for this game is unbelievable. And MMOs don't typically do this. It is, again, like the title of this video is "It is not what you think it is." And the story, the narrative style and presentation and the way that they present this is not what you think it is. And then there are the dungeons and the difficulty, the general difficulty of the game. In traditional mobile MMOs, it's like autoplay, auto path, auto combat, you know, auto finish dungeons, no difficulty whatsoever. And that is where the, you know, slop mobile MMO cash grab came from, right? The term came from. That is not this game. On the contrary, you know, like the early dungeons are very easy and very accessible, and that makes sense because they have to be. But man, Mrs. STIX, as y'all know, she's a very competitive raider. She's done the most difficult raid content in every competitive, large-scale, popular MMO, and she has completed it all. She went into some of these dungeons and raids, and her team and her, which were comprised of all human players, got destroyed. And she looked over to me, and she's like, this is actually kind of hard. Like, this is mechanically challenging. This requires effort. This requires teamwork. This requires coordination. And again, I appreciate the fact that the Sword of Justice studio are letting me be genuine and honest with you, because I can tell you, she did not expect it to be. We both expected it to be relatively easy, traditional mobile content, and it really wasn't. On the contrary, she took hours and hours over a multi-day period to finish the most difficult content that is available in the current test version of the game. And she emerged after having completed all this content that she could, wanting to actually play the game at release. I mean, typically when people are sponsored, they play the game and then they move on after they receive their payday. This was an instance where the content was actually challenging enough, difficult enough, engaging enough that she wanted to play more. And that in turn makes me want to play more. Because if she's having fun and she thinks it's good, then by extension, I am more apt to want to experience that content as well. And I think if people actually take the time and don't enter this with the misconception or the preconception that this is just mobile slop, that they're going to be surprised. Genuinely surprised at the quality of this game. Again, like, this is not a cheap mobile MMO. It's not. And this is evident by just looking at the world, at the narrative, at the dungeon difficulty, even at the variety in terms of dungeons. I mean, there was one point where we entered this like mural style of dungeon, which was a completely different perspective. And dude, it blew our mind. We genuinely did not expect it to be as fun as it was, as beautiful as it was, to offer and provide so much depth and complexity, and just generally be an MMO that really defies the norm in the genre. Cross-platform MMOs aren't really that good. This right here is probably a prime example of one that is definitely at the top of their game. And if you have not tried it, if you are not planning on trying it, then you definitely should. Why? I mean, I just told you why. Again, if you're at all interested in playing, you can go down, pre-register right now. This is a game that you're going to want to give a chance for. Do not fall into the misconception that this is cheap mobile slop, because it isn't.